That's better there. That was better there. Now, what I'm doing, oddly enough, is this. If I can get you firm here, I can get this to fold.
When the best golfers in the world need to sharpen their skills, they look for the best teacher in the world. And over 100 touring pros look to Jimmy Ballard's Golf Workshop at Doral Resort and Country Club in Miami, Florida for that competitive edge. Like Jimmy Ballard, the Doral name stands for excellence. Spread over 2,400 acres, Doral offers sun and relaxation, as well as exercise and recreation. It's the home of the luxurious Doral Saturnia International Spa Resort, nationally recognized as one of the top spas in the eastern United States. But it's championship golf that Doral is best known for. 99 challenging holes spread over 6 courses, including the infamous Blue Monster, site of the Doral Open on the PGA Tour since 1962. At Doral, the adage practice makes perfect rings loud and clear. A lighted driving range on the resort side offers guests a constant workout. And if you need assistance with your swing, then head down the range to the Jimmy Ballard Golf Workshop, where high handicappers and scratch players practice the true fundamentals under the watchful eye of Jimmy Ballard. Jimmy has been teaching golf for nearly 3 decades, and over that time he's devised a definitive and organized method to enable golfers to understand the fundamental golf swing. For years, he studied the great ball strikers, Hogan, Snead, Nelson, and found similarities in all their swings. Today, along with his staff of teaching professionals, Jimmy Ballard connects golf swings with the proper fundamentals. Through classroom workshops that allow students to see the right moves, to personally videotape sessions on the practice tee, Jimmy Ballard emphatically proves that the golf swing is nothing more than a natural athletic move. Ballard is best known for his work with successful touring pros like Curtis Strange, Sandy Lyle, Seve Ballesteros, and Hal Sutton. But it's working with amateur players of all levels, men and women, young and old, that he finds most rewarding. Each week, Jimmy looks at hundreds of swings. He is a student of the game. And for 30 years, he has studied the fundamental golf swing.
Yeah. Now, that's what I call a good golf swing. But it ought to be. He's my #1 assistant. I'd like to introduce you to Artie McNichol. He's going to demonstrate for you the fundamentals of the golf swing, what we call the common denominators, which, as you will see, is nothing more than an athletic move in the golf swing. Artie played the tour some 10 years, from 72 to 81.
Well, I'll tell you what, though, the first 5 years I couldn't break an egg out there. I came in to see you in 1977, and my golf swing got a whole lot better, and I had a lot more fun out there. But I'm not so sure there's much of an athlete left in this body.
Don't tell me that now. For sure, golf professionals are athletes, and that swing that you just made was an athletic swing. And I want all of you to know, all athletes have athletic moves, whether it's golf, whether it's baseball, whether it's boxing, whether it's hockey, football, it makes no difference. All pro golfers are athletes.
This week, Jimmy and Artie will explain and demonstrate common denominator number 7, the straight and balanced finish. This will aid in transferring all the weight entirely to the left side. When the full swing has been completed, a player must finish with his hips and shoulders level to the target. This is proof that connection has been preserved throughout the swing. Finishing in a straight, balanced finish will also promote longevity and help to avoid lower back pains. An important part of every Jimmy Ballard Golf Workshop is the classroom instruction.
I want you to understand that I know there are different ability levels in golf, but I want to tell you something. We find that every person has a certain amount of athletic ability if they go about it with a natural athletic motion. As an example of what I'm saying, and I like to start all of my sessions this way. If you take Ben Hogan, and he said in 1957, when he wrote the 5 Fundamentals of Golf, he made a very, very simple explanation to you about the golf swing. He said it's simply if you stood in a golf position with your feet and legs shoulder width, if you took a basketball in your hands and arms, he said just imagine that you were holding the basketball and you were going to make an underhanded tossing motion to a friend. I want you to understand he was telling you how to hit a golf ball, but yet some people never related to that for some reason, and I don't understand why. If you visualize, or rather, say visualize, if I show you a picture of Ben Hogan swinging a golf club, and then I showed you the motion I'm making here of tossing a basketball underhanded, I think you'll see the similarity. I think you'll see where it fits in, and it's all the same. So that is a natural motion, and that's where we are. That's where we're coming from. So now, to get started, what I'd like to do first is I'd like for you to understand that, as you already know, I'm sure, there are a lot of misleading terms in golf. In other words, there are a lot of terms that you've been told in golf are the true fundamentals in the golf swing, when we find, in truth, they are not the fundamentals of the golf swing. So that's what we're trying to find out in here. We want you to see what the true fundamentals are, and yet you know what you've been told. So I want to start in this way. I'm going to show you pictures as I go along of where the great ball players are, where the great strikers of the ball are, and let you understand it. We start here. If you were tossing a ball underhanded, would any of you hold your head down and still and try to toss a ball? Or do you think about it in this manner? If you were going to toss a ball, wouldn't your weight shift to the right? And when you did, do you see how the head would just flow with the spine to the right? And then when you made the tossing motion through the ball, do you see how the right side would release and the head and eyes and spine would face the target? That's very, very important for you to understand that at this point. Everyone has been told in golf to hold your head down and still. I'll make this point to you right now. In the history of the game of golf, I've never found a picture or a photograph or seen any good player hold his or her head down and hold his or her head still. Now, what I want you to understand is what happens with the head. Your head is simply a 17-pound weight on the end of your spine. And that's what you must understand. Now, if someone tells you to hold their head down and still over the ball here, how could you have any motion? How could you hit anything? And what it actually causes you to do, by trying to hold the head down and still, this 17-pound weight staying here, and yet you're trying to go back to hit something, it ends up with the body reversing here. Now, I want all of you to remember one thing. I have you on film, and I can show you what happens. And you're the one who knows if you try to hold your head down. So we'll see what happens. And I'll tell you what will happen right now. Every one of you who tries to hold his or her head down and still over the ball, the spine will bend in this manner because of the 17-pound weight holding the head over here. And when you try to shift the weight, this 17-pound weight tilts your spine here. From right there, there's no way that you could make a move to toss, throw, or do anything athletic in that direction. What will happen from this position with the head over here is your hips will slide, your spine will go back in this direction, your head will go back, and then plus you're being told to keep your head behind it, and you will pull up, look up, and come out of every shot. And all of your friends will tell you how you looked up, you pulled up, you didn't keep your head still. So what will you do? The next swing, you'll try to hold your head down a little more, your body will reverse pivot a little bit more here, and you will pull up, look up, and come out of every shot. And it's all due to the fact that this 17-pound weight, trying to hold it here, tilts or bends your spine in this manner, and then you have no choice but to go back this way. And I will add one other thing here, and as we talk and as we get into the golf swing, you'll understand it. What do you think this would do to your lower back or to your spine if your spine is being tilted in this direction? If any of you are having a little bit of lower back problems or any back problems, you might find that a lot of it's caused from where your head is in the golf swing. Now, to hit something hard, you cannot take your left arm and get it straight and stiff. That is the most ridiculous thing that I've ever heard. Now, what does happen is this, and I want you to understand a couple of things. What have you always been told in golf? Get your left arm straight and stiff, hold your head still. Well, if you hold your head still, you have to hold your spine still. So then the only thing you can hit a golf ball with if you're going to hold your head and your spine still and get a straight left arm is to grow your arm right out of the socket. Now, I'd like to know how you can hit anything hard by taking your left arm and getting it stiff, holding your head over the ball and pulling your left arm. And that is essentially what you've been told. Because when you say straight, stiff left arm, everyone works from the joint or from the socket. Now, I want you to understand something. First of all, what have you all been told to play golf beside keep your head down, stiff left arm. You've all been told to turn, haven't you? That is one of the most ridiculous statements, in my opinion, that you could make, or that a golf pro could make to a student, is to tell him to turn. Why would you tell a student to do something that is impossible by the laws of physics to do? And that's what they're doing when a person tells you to turn. You can't turn in a golf swing. No one in this room can turn, because everyone in this room has two legs. And if you have two legs, you have two sockets and you have two joints. The point I'm trying to make is this. No one can turn, or nothing can be turned from two sockets and two joints. You can turn if you want to play golf on one leg, because you then have one socket and one joint. Now, the best way I know how to explain this to you is this manner. If I took this golf club and I took a ball joint and socket and connected it to that club, I could turn that club, couldn't I? Because it would be one ball joint and one socket, so therefore it would turn. The same as you. You could stand on one leg and you can turn, because it's one pivot point. It's one socket, it's one joint. Now, I want to ask you something. If I took that ball joint and socket and had it there, and I could turn the club, what would happen if I took another ball joint and socket and put it right there? Could you turn that club now? Then I want to ask you something. When you take the waistline here and you have two sockets and two joints, I'd like to ask you, how in the heck can you turn from there? How do you turn from two sockets and two joints? Ask any engineer in the country. You can't, and it's impossible. You can twist. You can twist from two sockets, but you can't turn. You have two choices. You can shift into your right leg, and now how in the world can you shift to your right leg and hold your head down? You can't. Now let's talk about common denominator number 7, which is what we term as the straight balance finish with the elbows down and together. Now, over the years, the one thing that I have looked for in the golf swing is the longevity of players. I've always felt that great players, when you truly look at your great players last 10 years or longer. I don't know how some of these players last 5 years with the way they bow their backs and the way they go through the ball. I know that over the years, people have been told to stay behind the ball and to hit into the inverted C. Well, to me, that's the surest way in the world to pull up, look up, to come up out of every shot, plus the damage that it can do to your lower back from there. Now, what we have found out in the history of the game, every great player who's lasted more than 10 years, all of them finish over on their left side, their spine is straight, and they have what we term as a straight balance finish with the weight all on their left side.
Now watch Julius Boris here, one of the great ball strikers of all time. See the soft arms in the setup? And watch as he goes through the ball. Watch his right side fire. And look at his hips, level. His shoulders are level, all the weight on the left side. Great finish. Now watch George Knudsen here. No one went through the ball any better than he did. Watch as his right side fires. Again, the level hips. The spine is straight. No pressure in the lower back at all. Everything on the left side balanced. He can take a step forward. Watch Nicholas when he was in his 20s. He was really something in these days with a lot of power. Watch the right side fire. Look at the level in his hips when he finished. You can see the leg drive to the left side. Watch Sam Snead. This is in the 50s. And watch here as he goes through the ball. Watch when his right side fires. Watch again the level in his hips, the level in his shoulders, and you can see how straight the spine is, and all the weight's over on the left side. Very nice. And here he is in 1988, and watch this man's right side, and it's proof of longevity in the golf swing. Look at his right side. Look how straight he is in the finish. Look at his spine.
We hate the thought or the term stay behind the ball, because one of the things I want you to understand, what makes the ball go in the air is the fact that you're up with your right side, hitting a descending blow down and through the ball, and the spine would end up straight and balanced with the elbows down and together if you go down the line. How in the world could you stay behind the ball, pull your left arm, and hit into a straight balance finish? No way. All you can do is your right hip comes in under your left, your spine is bent. You have a choice here of blocking with your arms or flipping your hands and hitting the duck hook, but all you can do is injure yourself, and you lose a lot of power. The only power you would have is if you flip the hands from there. You could be a pull hitter and maybe hit some long shots, but you can't hit them straight. But if you'd let your whole right side go, the loft of the club would lift the ball. You would hit down the line of flight. You would finish perfectly on balance on your left leg, or even like Gary Player and Trevino, walk. But take a look at Sneed. Take a look at Boris. Take a look at Littler, Sutton, Curtis Strange. I remember when Curtis Strange first came to see me, one of the things that he had a problem with is he would hang back on his right side, and he hurt his lower back some. He could feel some pain there. So one of the things we talked to him about, of course, is to finish all the way on his left with his elbows down, straight balance finish. You can see that in his swing. Sneed, Hogan, Littler, Sutton. There's no bow in their swing. They're always up where they can hit down the line with extension, and to do that, you'd have to finish straight and balanced. There's no way you could hit down the line with extension by bowing and staying behind the ball. You'd have a short arc. You'd be hitting under, up, and across the line every time, or under and up and across the line flipping your hands. If you hang back, you cannot. And a golf ball does not get in the air because you stay behind it and lift it. The golf ball gets in the air because you hit a descending blow down and through it and finish in a straight balanced finish. You want to get an extended right side down the line of flight. That's the only way you can hit a descending blow down and through the ball. You have to keep your right hip up to be able to hit down, or what we call it drives up. When the right foot, right knee, right hip kicks up, I feel my right side hitting down. If I pull my left side at the ball, my right hip goes under my left, my right elbow would tuck in, and I'm hitting under and up and across the line every single trip. The more I tuck my right elbow in and pull my left arm, the more across the ball I am. Now let's talk about, another way, again, back to center, or the spine, which we mean facing the target. We talk about the straight balance finish and how to get there. The faster you move center, and I think you could maybe do this by moving the club back and forth, show them how your arms are lay there, and show them, take it back to the top. Now, from there, zip it through for us. Now, I want you to notice that Artie's arms and hands are laying right where they started. What's moving that club through the ball, Artie?
Boy, I feel my legs, my body, and I can feel my center of balance go right towards the target.
And you feel like, don't you, that their spine and your belt buckle faces the target from the top. When you get to the top, from right there, we want to feel the whole spine, the center. We want to feel the right side drive forward and face the target as quick as we can. Good. Hit a couple now. Let's see if they can see that. And what he's doing is he's actually making his spine, his center, which is the center of the golf swing, centrifugal force, by being connected with his arms there, by the club in the center of his body. He can take it away real slow if he wanted to. He could set up his own tempo, but he could take it away real slow. But to hit the ball, he's got to move it fast through it. And that's the idea. Once we get coiled into the right leg, and again, this is a feel. A lot of times people feel like they want to take it back slow. Well, that's fine as long as once you get it loaded, you go fast.
Sometimes, we've talked about different personalities. An A personality, his tempo is going to be quicker than a B personality. People have told me that I take it back too slow sometimes. I walk slow.
That's right. And not only that, here's the thing. Explain tempo, and let's talk about that a little bit. Everybody kind of has, just like you said, their own tempo. I remember a young man that played the tour that was a good player, but I've never seen anybody as fast in my life, Joe Porter, our friend. And Joe probably had the fastest hands and arms in the world. Well, I didn't ever want to slow that down as far as his fastness. What we wanted to do was get it together. And once he got coordinated, he could use that speed.
Sure, I know a lot of our students, they'll come in and they'll complain about being fast. And what I'll do to them a lot of times is I'll just have them lift the club above the ground, and I'll say, go ahead and take it to the top, but you're not allowed to use their arms. and I'd like you to do it as fast as possible. They go about this speed, and all of a sudden I let them understand if they feel fast, they're doing it with their little muscles. If they concentrate on their bigger muscles, whatever speed their life is, their tempo will be at the right speed because they're using big muscles.
That's right. And the idea now, again, show them the difference. Why you feel fast in the golf swing, why you would feel quick. Show them how centered, stay still, and it's just arms. And that's why you feel fast. Now, if he does it with his spine, if he lets it go back with his legs and body, there's the tempo. Now we want him to be fast. We want him to fire as hard as he can to try to get to that straight balance finish facing the target as quick as he can with the left elbow folding down to the ground. Okay? I want you to explain and show them where your left shoulder is, show them where your right shoulder is, and show them where center is.
That's very confusing to a lot of our students. My left shoulder is my entire pectoral muscle and my entire lateral muscle. That's my shoulder girdle. Most everybody assumes that that joint is the shoulder. Same thing on the right side. My lats and my pecs are my shoulder girdle, and my center is the inside or this side of my spine. My spine is the center of my body, and when we're talking about using your shoulders, we mean the shoulder girdles, or we mean the spine moving, not the joint.
Show them now with connection. Get it up there and hold it in front of you. You don't have to put it down. Just kind of hold it up. Now show them there how you can move the club backing up with your shoulders. And the only thing that takes the club up is the hinging of the right arm. And as he goes through, the shoulders are stretching. And the only thing that hinges is his left elbow.
Now let's review what we've talked about today. A proper setup to ensure a proper finish. Now notice here with Sneed, he's got the brace connected address, his hips and shoulders are level at address, and then notice as he goes through the ball, he finishes the swing with his hips and shoulders level and balanced. Secondly, the hips, shoulders, and eyes must face the target. Now watch Curtis here. Watch as he fires his right side, and as he goes through the ball, the left elbow folds down, and notice his hips and shoulders are level, his eyes are looking right at the target. And finally, a straight, balanced finish promotes longevity. Now let's watch Sam Sneed. He's just amazing. He's in his middle 70s. He still shoots par. Look at the balance on his finish when he goes through, and he just watches the ball in flight. Remember, the straight balanced finish will ensure longevity. Avoid the inverted C, and you avoid lower back pain. Now take these fundamentals to the practice tee and work on them.
Next week on Jimmy Ballard, the fundamental golf swing.
The hardest shot in golf to judge distances in because of the way people, they're so afraid of it. Now, and I think the main reason people are afraid of pitch shots is, again, they've always been told to hold the body perfectly still and to swing with the arms.
Jimmy and Artie will also demonstrate the successful steps to basic bunker play, as well as the proper fundamentals needed for chipping, the shot that saves the most strokes for the amateur player. All this and more next week on Jimmy Ballard, the fundamental golf swing. The preceding has been a production of Reed Dolph Incorporated.